Chairman,
to the chairman, and all of you guys,
Chairman,
to the chairman, and all of you guys and ladies. I'm appreciative to you for inviting me out today to speak to you. Mr. Cochran has basically made my case for me, but I want to tell you that I was in law enforcement for 17 and a half years. I started at Waco Police Department as a patrolman. Went from patrolman to undercover vice and narcotics to detective in that 9.5 years. I left the Waco Police Department. I did loss prevention for Skaggs after Beta, for Kmart, and I became chief of police at MCC, Mclennan Community College, for a short while, because in that short while the Lake Waco triple murders happened, and I was able to finger the guy that was in control, who was behind the Lake Waco triple murders. That catapulted me to the district attorney's office, where I served 7 years. And you know, you work at the wheel of the DA and the sheriff, and when my guy couldn't win the race, I was let go, so I started teaching. And I taught full-time for a while, and now I do substitute teaching for the Waco Independent School District. But in that time, my experience as a law enforcement officer, I was able to gain my education. I got a bachelor's degree from Paul Quinn College while I was in the police academy. And from there, I got a master's of arts teaching from Tarleton State College, or university now. And also, when I was undercover vice and narcotics officer, I was called into the ministry. So I was a preacher while I was taking drugs and kicking in doors and taking names and stuff. So I've been pastoring for 36 years in March. So I have a bit of administrative experience. I never went to a place that I didn't leave it better than what it was when I got there. Now, what I learned was that you have to have common sense. You have to have discretion. You can't just do things. And what I understand, I mean, you guys know more about this stuff than I do, because you're into it a whole lot. It had to be a plan made. From listening to what you said, there had to be a plan, but it was the wrong plan. They planned, evidently, to slaughter people. It had to be, because other than that, you divide and conquer. You get the hot spots out of the way, and then it's kind of like you with cowboys and Indians. You kill the chief, all the other Indians will go home. You know, so, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I don't know. Law enforcement here in Mclennan County bears the burden. They probably won't even ever admit to it, but it bears the burden of those 9 lives that was lost out there at Twin Peaks from the top seat. The sheriff is the top cop. He's the top cop in the county. He has to make sure that he has good communication and relations with the rest of the police departments in the county. So somebody should have come together. He says he's front line. Well, he would have been really on front line that day if he'd have told Strowman, who's the chief of police of Waco Police Department, look, this thing cannot happen here in Mclennan County, Waco, Texas. It just can't happen. We've got to stop this. And that would have been the best thing that would catapult him back into the sheriff's office. If you notice, he got signs everywhere. That is desperate politics. See and say. You see my name and picture enough, you'll say it on the ballot. 100 years ago, as Mr. Cochran was saying, there was a McNamara who sat up in the second story building with the mayor. That was a McNamara who was the prosecuting attorney. They took a 17-year-old boy and found him guilty in about 4 minutes or less, and drug him around the square, hung him on a tree, and set him afire, and sold his genitals for souvenirs. 100 years ago. Now here's 100 years later, when Twin Peaks happened, and it's another McNamara in charge. I mean, he's the top cop. I mean, I would have been, they would have called me crazy. They would have had to lock me up to let Twin Peaks happen. Never should have happened. Never should have happened. So I feel that I can bring something to the table. First of all, let me tell you this. You guys are my heroes. I'm going to tell you that first of all. I ain't trying to stuff you up at all. Didn't realize it at first. But you guys are my heroes. You all are the reason I can stand here today. Because y'all went to that war. Y'all fought that war. Some having problems because of that war. But I was able to stay here and go to school. You're just my heroes. And I don't think you told it enough. I was telling Mr. Cochran, I said, man, when I see Rambo, I just get crazy. I just get crazy. I know it's a motion picture, but it speaks out. You were not treated fair when you got back to the world. And now, because you want to express yourself, and because you want to be together, y'all do just like a church service. You have a prayer, you take off your hats and stuff. I was totally scared to come. Because they say you just can't walk up in one of those meetings. I'm saying, oh my God.
They're open to the
I got some, I don't know if they're bike riders or want to be bike riders at my church, but they tell me all kinds of stuff. but what I could do, like I told the gentleman just before, I said, should I go in there? Because I don't want to mess up. He said, yeah, you can go in.
When you get back to church, tell them, hey, I went to that meeting, walked right in there. Those guys rocked it. Because that will help us. Our problem now is public perception after Swanton vilified us all.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be fair. As your sheriff, I am going to be fair. What I mean about that, I'm not going to let you run over anybody. I'm not going to let anybody run over you. We're going to be fair. Just like I told Mr. Cochran, if you mess up, well then you messed up. And then when you can own up to your problems, what you've done, the court is lenient. Even the officer got discretion. He can say, well man, go on home. Nobody hurt. It's kind of like when the young lady got put in jail in Waller County by the DPS officer. Now, the problem was there that she changed lanes without safety. She didn't put a signal light on. Well, if nobody was hurt, there was no car wreck. Big deal. Give me a warning and let me go. I was driving down the street the other day and was stopped by a Robinson Police Department. I live in Robinson. I've been there about 27 years. And if you ever been in Robinson, you know the streets are real bad. So I had one of them chuck holes, and my headlight kind of broke out, and I could see it in the dash where something was half broken, then it was gone. So he stopped me, and he asked me for my information. So I was kind of hanging around. And then finally he said, well, Mr. Thompson, you don't have to worry. This is not going to be a ticket. It's just going to be a warning. And I'm saying, I wonder did he see the sticker on my back bumper that said I was running for sheriff? He might want a job. But what I want to tell you is that it is so important that we all come together. Man, I don't know why that sheriffs before had to come and sit down and talk to you guys. I don't know why, because when I listen to the talk going on, it's a whole wealth of information that can be learned just from y'all. This man was talking to me, and I'm saying, what is he talking about? Y'all talking about the jury, but that's what y'all do, because you want to protect yourself. And we need to be aware of what you do so we can be there to protect you also.
And just so you know, I have sent McNamara a letter, and I told him, you're not going to invite me over for a barbecue. And I'm not inviting you over to my house either. And we probably don't see eye to eye on 85% of all things.
Mm-hmm.
But on 15% of things, we probably see perfectly eye to eye. And on those 15% of things, we need to sit down, take everything that we're not going to agree on.
Exactly.
We're not going to have an argument. The 15%, let's fix them.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what needs to
And
happen.
he would not even respond. It's an email. I mean, he could have said, fuck you. I would have felt better about it if he had, but he just blew me off and completely ignored me. That made me mad.
Every citizen has the right to life and the pursuit of happiness. To do what you want to do. You've paid for this. The government wrote a Declaration of Independence that said you could do it. So if we could all just come together, we ain't going to agree on everything, but maybe we can hash out, you know, what he says could work here, what I say could work, and we could put it together and have one big idea that would help everybody. And that's the kind of sheriff that I want to be. I want to be a visible sheriff. He says front line, but he wasn't on front line the day Twin Peaks happened. He says front line, but he wasn't on front line the day those people died in the county.
Not until the cameras came out.
Yeah, yeah. And Swanton, I don't know where I don't understand him.
That's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
He's very hard to tackle.
He won't even put on a cowboy hat, you know.
That's a dirty word.
I mean, he's got these signs with his hands in his pocket, and I'm saying, what is that? You know, and I'm not saying that will take away, you know, but for some reason he's got a disconnect. He's got all these accolades and what he's done, but where were they on the day that they were needed the most? It wasn't just 9 people that died. It was some children that lost a father. It was some wives that lost a husband. Somebody lost an uncle or a nephew. A father could have lost probably a son. These things matter. And because you dress like you dress, you are expressing what you want to be, what you want to do. And I tell you, I would be more than happy if I was on a stop and a motorcycle rider rode up, you know, and especially if I know you. That's what I'm talking about. If we had that kind of cooperation, then I know, hey, I got some backup here. Because a lot of times, these guys are doing things that don't answer that radio, or they got it doing something else, or they're on the phone somewhere, because most of the time you find a deputy sheriff vehicle now, it's within the city limits. And we're supposed to be riding the country roads. We're supposed to be, what, linemen for the county? And we're supposed to be riding the country roads. So I want to bring this back. I want to bring cohesiveness to Mclennan County. Lady, I went to a Builders Association meeting. And needless to say, they didn't endorse me. They endorsed Mr. McNamara. But the lady asked, she said, if I was showing a house, what could I expect from you? I said, all you would have to do is make a call and let us know that you're showing a house in what area. I said, I will guarantee you that there'll be an officer to come check on you. Because you know there have been people killed showing houses, you know, real estate. So we want to be able to cover, and I want to tell you, we're not going to be there for everything, because if it's abrupt, you know, Katie balled the door, I mean, what can you do? But if this thing, we hollering, we knew they were coming. We knew they were coming. You had the opportunity to sit down and, I mean, if you want to run around if you want to, but come up with some kind of plan to separate that. Not let it happen. It shouldn't have ever happened. And I can see a lot of things changing, because if you noticed in the paper the other day, they're having to go back and look at all these drug cases. They're having to go back because these cats get above the law sometimes, and they start writing their own things in there that's going to make the case. Well, my stance is, if you are a criminal, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about that overall. If you messed up and I missed you one time, All I got to do is keep watching. You're going to mess up again. So I need to be on my P's and Q's, so to speak, to make sure that I'm there when you do. Because it'll happen again. And it doesn't have to come with me putting my hands on you. If you cooperate and get cooperation, somebody will step forward and say, you know, it happened to me before. It happened to me before. And the guy went to prison. But the guy came back and he told me, he said, you know, thank you for sending me to prison. Huh, I'm a little strange now, you know, thanking me for sending you to prison. You know, I got strange when I saw him. I thought, oh, okay, here it goes. So he said, you saved my life. You actually saved my life. Because if I stayed out there doing what I was doing, I'd probably be dead right now. So what I'm saying to you today, I've been preaching for, pastoring for 36 years. I've been in law enforcement 17 years. Those things came together and helped me. I mean, they really helped me. My education has helped me. And my experience that I've had as a law enforcement officer, from first responder all the way to capital murder, has helped me. He said, well, you've been out a while. He's going to be off his motorcycle for a while. But I guarantee you, when he gets back on that motorcycle, he might wobble a couple times, but after a while, he's going to straighten that baby up and ride. And that's how I am right now. I mean, I pay attention to things, you know. But I'm asking you, if you will give me your support, the sheriff of Mclennan County, I'll be a sheriff that I will come meet you where you are, right here. I usually go down to 6008 in Hewitt. And we can talk about things. We can talk about things. If you figured I did something wrong or you didn't like what I did, tell me and tell me why you didn't like what I did. I ought to be human enough, I ought to have enough sense enough to listen to criticism. Because if I'm a person who can't take criticism, I'm a bomb getting ready to happen somewhere. I'm going to do something to somebody. Because somebody's going to say something I don't really like. And I'm going to blow. And that's not going to be good for me. So, I'm saying, give me an opportunity. Give me an opportunity to do what should have been done at Twin Peaks. What should have been done 100 years ago. You guys got rights. Y'all pay attention to the rights. Y'all go. Y'all have legislature that y'all hear, and I want to protect that. I want to protect that. I want to be able to walk up out here. Hey, Sheriff, what's going on? I like to play them little machines. I ain't playing with y'all. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I can't tell you the truth, I don't need to be here. Now I go down to 6008 now, because I'm a member down there. I'm not a vet, but I'm a member down there, and I play those machines. And, you know, I play a couple times. And I go. I don't drink. When they feeding out there, they selling food and stuff like that, I go down there and get me a meal. I mean, what I have noticed about bikers, so to speak, you're always trying to help somebody. You're always trying to help somebody. And I've seen that. Well, we as a people, we as a community here in Mclennan County ought to be here for one another. We ought to be for one another. So when things come down, I mean, we might be standing on opposite sides sometimes. That might happen. But the majority of the time, I'd like to see us standing on the same side, making sure that the citizens of Mclennan County have a safer and better life. On that note, I'll take a few questions if you want to ask. But I thank you for letting me come and speak to you.
Somebody asked a question. You can ask him anything. I asked him stuff probably made him cringe.
How many times have you run for sheriff?
This is my second time.
Second time.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna run if you aren't set as a Republican in March? Are you gonna go out as an independent?
Do that again?
You're running as a Republican. Swanton and Parnell are running as Republican.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't win in March, are you gonna run as an independent for the ticket?
I wouldn't be able to do that in November, would I?
I'm not certain.
I've been asked that. Guy called me, he called me a little too late, to ask, me, why did you run independent? I said, well, I don't know about anything about it, you know, independent. I said, you know, I went with what I thought. And he says, well, I'll support you anyway, but if you had ran for independent, you wouldn't have had
You wouldn't have had to go through the
yeah,
primaries.
you wouldn't have you bypass the primary and went in the general election. Well, I'm kind of like that. I don't have many advisors. That's in the thing. Like you'll see a lot of McNamara signs. You see some of my signs because nobody was beating down my door saying you ought to run. So, and a lot of my Democratic friends got upset because I went Republican. But I saw something that I saw more organization. You know, Texas is a red state, and you want to be on a winning team. And so far, sometimes they don't think the winners are all up to par when you come to Old Donald, but he's winning. But and I felt this would be my best opportunity because I'm between these two guys. They've been in active law enforcement. You know, they should have known better. They should have known. This should never happen on my watch. So I'm trying to be the lesser of two evils. If I can split that vote and come out with a percentage higher, at least maybe I can get into a runoff or something like that.
Actually, I think it's pretty shrewd, because here's the deal. If he ran as an independent, you got 100% of the Republican vote between the two of them. So one of them's going to get 70 and one of them's going to get 30. That leaves the independent ass out.
I've got a
Just
question.
saying. So, running as a Republican, first of all, in the last election, running head-to-head against Parnell McNamara, Parnell got 67% of the vote. He got 29, 30%. Head-to-head. Okay? So, take 30% of the people out, and you got 70% of the people left. Those two guys are not going to take one of his votes. None. Zero, none. But they're going to kill each other. So they're 70% of the vote. And let's say it's 40 to 30. 40% to 30%. All we have to do is get him 20%, he wins. All we have to do is get him 10%, and he's going to be in a runoff with whoever wins that other match, and we know who that's going to be.
It's doable.
It's doable. We only need to get him 10% of the vote. Now, I can tell you right here, people in this room, this is how you get it done. First of all, if you know anybody, if you have a relative, if you know a biker, if you know a veteran that is not registered to vote, you need to tell them shame on you. Because we have seen in the last year or so a militarized police force. And they're getting very aggressive. You know, the SWAT team used to be called out. You know, I'm from L.A. The SWAT team would get called out once a month in L.A. It gets called out once a week here. L.A. has 5 million people. You know, come on. So, they're over-aggressive, and that's painfully obvious. You know, you got the Honey Bun Bandit. How long has he been doing that? As long as you can remember. This guy has been stealing honey buns from the 7-Eleven for the last 20 years because he thinks it's funny. Except for on the last occasion that he stole a honey bun, seems like Mr. Butcher might have got in a high-speed chase with him over a $1.79 honey bun, ended up having an accident, and did the lady die or she got severely injured? Well, now he's madder than a hornet. And so when they finally caught up with the honey bun bandit, who was probably snickering, yeah, it's $1.79, it's a honey bun. So what? Take him to jail. You won't even be done filling out the paperwork. They throw him out. Well, he catches a bullet right between the eyes. Just so happens this guy that shot him, I don't know what took place over there exactly at the Twin Peaks, but I do know that the aerial camera that they had installed was behind him. And I do know that the camera in his car, those 2 pieces of film are being withheld. And I do know as of December, he was still on administrative duty.
He is.
Which means something is severely wrong. Because everybody else is exonerated. Everybody else is back at work. So this guy either has mental, you have to pass a psychiatric examination to be a police officer. Different police forces, I'm sure, have different standards, but nonetheless, I believe they found something in his background where he may have failed multiple psych evals to go to work elsewhere. Because I'm going to tell you, he's probably not from here, and my daughter lived with a police officer. He was a detective over here in Belmead. She lived with him for 6 years. And every month he interviewed for another police job somewhere else because they pay better. You can go down here to Georgetown and Round Rock and double what you make here in Waco. Those guys make $70,000 a year, patrol officer. Here in Waco, they make $32,000 a year. So, either he's from here and just his family and a situation he can't possibly leave, or he doesn't want to upset the apple cart. He's got a job, and he's fine with that. But something's seriously wrong. He's still suspended. The film that the DA will not release in discovery happens to be him. His car and the camera behind him, and as it turns out, the audio, he's the one that called it. Just so you know, he's the one that called shots fired. That's when they reacted. Because they don't wait to, you can't. Anybody, you guys mostly veterans, whether you hear it or not, somebody says shots fired, you go now. Because 2 seconds from now, you might not be alive. So you hit it as hard and as fast as you can, which is what they did. And he happens to be the one that called it. Now, there's a president of the Dallas chapter of the Cossacks was standing 10 feet. 10 feet from ground zero. 10 feet. He said they heard a shot. They all looked around, wondering where the hell it came from. It didn't happen there. That's what he said. On a national interview on TV. I don't know why the DA didn't notice he had a shotgun over in the corner of the hotel room he was in doing the interview, but nonetheless, while he's on probation, or out on his $1 million bail, but in any event, this is a guy that said, hey, hold on a minute. Nobody right there knows what happened. A shot rang out and they looked around. Who's shooting? Because it didn't happen there. That's what he said. It didn't happen there. So the story is instigated right here. Somebody ran over somebody's foot, whatever. That's the big story. Just like the rest of the story, it appears that that's inaccurate. It actually started somewhere else. Because the people there didn't know, the guy that has already gone to court a couple times. He went over there and said, hey, don't talk to my president like that. Well, he got hit. And then he heard a gunshot. Well, he didn't see who